And the first job I did was picking up deceased people. I honestly did it for the money. The count has been over 10,000 people I've put into a grave. We open the body bag and the maggots are everywhere, worms. As I'm shrouding, spiders start coming out of the mouth and some little maggots coming from the nose and the ear. When he died, we got notified and his brother said, no, I'm going to cremate him. I said, hey, your brother's Muslim. He wanted to be buried in Islamic. No way. When the body went in, you know what happened when they hit the fire? It jumped up. And he went, oh my God, he's alive. Oh my God. Was the washer for 30 something years. He got my arm and he put my arm on his leg. He said, now I'm happy. You can wash me when I die. And the police seen them, put the sirens to pull over. They didn't stop, they kept going.
He just cut to the left, maintain.
The car ended up accident. Both boys were burnt to death, 99.9% burnt. They said to me, how are you going to wash them? I said, I have to. So we put on the table. When I remember signing the death certificate for my father, I was driving and I looked in the van like this and he was behind, deceased. You know, he used to wash me, now I'm washing him. And you know, when I shrouded him and I felt the cold on his skin, I said, you know, Dad, you're not gone. It's just begun. It's just begun.
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Ahmed Raji. Thank you so much for being with us, also known as Muslim Undertaker. Towards eternity, we are very happy to have you with us.
Jazakallah khair. I'm very happy to see you and be pleased, and we got to meet eventually.
Can you tell us briefly about your life, please?
Middle Eastern background. My grandparents came from Lebanon in the World War II to Australia. We are born in Sydney, Australia. You know, typical young man, play sports, cricket, soccer, athletics, then, you know, boxing, karate. And the first job I did was picking up deceased people when I was young. And from there I became a grave digger. And then I got much more deeper into the world of the death and the last day on earth. From 1996, the first person I ever buried, to today, 2026. The count has been over 10,000 people I've put into a grave, dug graves, and over 6,000 people I've washed.
Why did you choose this job?
When I was about 14, 15, the first job that popped up was picking up dead people for our community. And I honestly did it for the money. I didn't do it because I want to pick up dead people. Because working with the dead would pay more money because nobody wanted to do this job. And the thing was, it could be any time of the night. So I thought, one body, $30? Wow, this is good. If I get 3 a week, $90, I'm already, in 1 year, I make 3 years worth of, this is how I was calculating. Because, you know, you need money when you're young. But the catch was I had to bring someone with me. The call would come. I tell her, can you go with me? I just got to do something quickly. So my friend would be there. I'd make him go. We go to the hospital, pick him up. What are you doing, man? You told me we just got to do something. So I would make him lift with me. So I would always get it in that way, you know. You know, after picking up the bodies, I would bring them back to the garage back then. And after many, many years, old people die. And then there was no one to do it but me.
Do people get scared when they hear about your job?
They get intrigued. Some of the old people are superstitious. I go to shake the hand. I go, it's all right. I only washed 2 people today, you know. And then they look at me and go, when I die, take care of me. I said, you don't worry. You just die. Let me do the rest when you die. And then I respect the elders.
How did you feel when you first washed a dead person's body?
He was the man that I would stand with. He was the washer for 30 something years. And he would teach me a lot. Like I would learn from him. He's like a father figure to me. And his children had all been murdered and he washed them. And I remember he even buried his wife. Obviously he got to 80 something years old. He started to get sick and I came in to start washing while he was going for a hospital and stuff. And then one day he just came. It was a funeral for a young man. So many young people there. He come from nowhere. The people said to me, he's back to take his job. I said, it is his job, not my job. And he got a chair. And the washing table's here, and he put the chair right in front of the washing table. He looked at me, and he was a hard man, solid. He said, start. So I said, Rabbi shrah li sadri yassir li amri, bismillah ar-Rahman. I've done this before, and I washed. He's just watching. And he said to me once or twice, bit more. I finished. He got up, he went into the office and sat. I finished the washing, shrouding. He said, come in, sit next to me. He got my arm, and he put my arm on his leg. He said, now I'm happy. You can wash me when I die. And he walked off. I looked from the window And he had this walk where he would, like this. And the guy had said to me, he's going to come back for his job. I said, no, he came to say goodbye. He won't be coming back. A few days later, he died. And then I washed him. The washer was getting washed. And wallah, and I buried him and washed him and everything, and he's buried very close to my mum, behind my mum, and whenever I see my mum, I see him.
Have you ever been really scared while washing a body?
Not scared, but more humbled. Recently I watched a person whom he'd been dead for a few days. We had summer, 40 plus degrees Australia. The body in the heat decomposes very quickly. We went and got him. He had no family. We opened the body bag and the maggots are everywhere. Worms.
Oh, wow.
White maggots. And subhanAllah, I got as much as I can clean him until I started washing. Finished. We dried him. We shroud him. As I'm shrouding, spiders start coming out of the mouth. And some little maggots coming from the nose and the ear.
Have you ever had to wash a badly damaged body? And what was the difficult case you ever handled?
I remember two young boys, not 20 years old, best friends. They went to the gym about 11 p.m. They trained, and one of them, he was not licensed to drive. His license was disqualified. So they were coming back, and the police seen them, put the sirens to pull over. They didn't stop. They kept going. What happened that we don't know after, but anyway, the car ended up accident, exploded. Both boys were burnt to death. When I say burnt, 99.9% burnt. They said to me, how are you going to wash them? I said, I tawakkal on Allah. I have to, because I know these boys used to love me. They used to see me in the gym. I'm a role model to these people. So we put on the table, I got the towels, wet them in the bin. Another towel, just dab in the bin. I think I used about 20 something towels, just for my conscience that I washed them. So, look, I remember not long ago, we went to apartments and we called, the police were there, and they broke the door down. And the man inside, the heater, was winter, the heater was still on, and he was dead near the heater. And he'd been 6 weeks, so he had exploded, the stomach had exploded, it puffed up and it was broken. And it was just terrible, terrible sight. The policeman, I remember, ran out, I couldn't handle it like this. SubhanAllah, I remember we picked him up, and dead weight is heavy. Took him back to the funeral parlor. And I remember the smell was that bad that it was smelt there for a long time. You could still smell it for a long time, because the body had decomposed so badly. Sometimes, what I do? I have 2 Vicks inhalers. I put them in my nose like this, so that it keeps going in the Vicks.
Yeah.
Death has a unique smell. People who are police or forensics, they know this smell because they go to places where people have been dead for a while, crime scenes. Yeah. This smell is synonymous.
Have you ever had to wash a child's body?
We washed many children, yeah. Children hurt me too. I cry a lot when the children get washed, especially when I see the parents, especially when it's a child that the father says he was a mini me. He used to copy me and follow me everywhere. But it's a test, my friend. It's a test by Allah. I remember a young boy, he was in a classroom. A lady was called to the school because her son was making a bit of trouble. So she went to see the principal. When she was leaving, she went to push the accelerator. Her water bottle fell under the brake. So she went to get it and pushed the accelerator. And the car went forward, not reverse, into the building, into a room like this, and killed 2 children. One Muslim kid and one non-Muslim kid. This lady was very distraught. She's old. When I was doing the funeral for the boy, his father was next to me in the car. I said to him, is it true that you're going to have revenge? Because he's Muslim and they're Muslim. He said, no, I forgive her. I said, do you forgive her? People saying they're going to be revenge. He said, no, 6 months ago I was her husband's Aza, his condolences when he died. I went to her house, I even ate in her house. I said, no, I forgive her. We're driving to the cemetery and he has a coffin at the back and his son's this far from him. And he's telling the world, I forgive her. This went viral around the world. Wow. And subhanAllah, this shows Islam. This is true Islam.
Did you ever hear a sound from the dead body?
That's the body sometimes makes noises, like air comes out, or like the muscles loosen, especially when you start washing warm water. So things will loosen, they'll twitch, like the arm is like this and it'll just, like you think, what happened? Who touched me? But I know it's just normal. They're not alive. SubhanAllah, once, we're burying and a man was standing and, he on top of the grave, I think he had his phone here and he was leaning over and he dropped the phone in the grave, but he didn't know he had dropped it. So it was in the stool in the bottom where the deceased is. So we finished, we covered the grave with the blocks, then the dirt. And then he was like, where's my phone? Can you ring my phone? So I'm ringing his phone. We can hear it ringing. And we're moving closer and closer. It's coming in the grave. It's subhanAllah. It's ringing in the grave. He looked at me. I go, bad luck, brother. It's gone.
Hey, can you explain step by step how I'll be washed and buried after I die?
At your time of death, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends his messengers, the angels, to come down first. They are the ones that sit, and you see sometimes deceased are looking at something. At the appointed time, the angel of death will stand beside your head, and the soul will come out as described, either water pouring out from a cup, nice and gently. That is why people go, you see it. They don't go, they actually draw their last breath in. When you die, the breath comes in, not out. This is death. The eyes look up if they're awake, because they see their soul leave. We have a special material. We have thousands ordered. It goes from here to the knees. And the material is black felt, meaning the water does not penetrate through. So if you put a towel on the water, what happened? It goes see-through. If you had a white towel over and we're washing, you'll see everything. You don't even need to, This is not transparent. So what we do is, when we go to wash, we pump the stomach first, make sure there's nothing in the stomach. We push the stomach, so anything in the stomach comes out straight away. Get the impurities out. So sometimes you have to work very hard. Keep pushing and push, keeps coming out. Sometimes all medicine mixed with the stool. Because, if you don't do this, we wrap in white shroud. So imagine you wrapping, and then 1 or 2 hours later, you're at the cemetery. You lift the body out to put into the grave, and under it is all feces. So what we do is, with a sponge, soap or sidr, and from underneath we clean. And then we keep looking if there's any feces, anything shouldn't be, until that soap is white still. Then we know it's done.
You don't personally touch those parts, like?
No. You got there's a barrier between you and that. Our aim is to make sure we look at the sponge or the soap, and it's come back pure, no marks or stains. So the table is like this, and it has a drain. So he's sitting on top. So anything comes out goes into the drains. If we see a lot of it and we clean, we have to put cotton inside the backside. So we put the cotton from under our hands to close it, like plug. And we put a plastic cotton strip so it doesn't penetrate. So the job is not just easy. It's very private and very responsibility. If you're now pronounced as dead, preparations are made for your funeral. A WhatsApp message will ring around the world or around wherever, depends how popular you are. Such and such has died. You'll be carried on the shoulders of people you know or strangers, depending how many people or who can live. They'll continue to a grave, to a hole in the ground. And I always tell people the hole is like a hole that a cat digs to defecate, except a little bit deeper. In other words, they're there to just put you in a hole and go, look at this. Look at it, what your ending is like for a human.
Why do Muslims wash the body before burial? And considering cremation is common worldwide, do non-Muslims see this practice as strange?
Have you seen how they cremate bodies? When you watch it, you'll realize what the dignity of Islam is. When you cremate a body, I remember once we had a man, old man, he's a revert, become Muslim, old man, from a European country, but he was in Australia. And his brother was the next of kin, so he had authority over him. When he died, we got notified, and his brother said, no, I'm going to cremate him. I said, hey, your brother's Muslim. He wanted to be buried in Islam. No way. Okay. So I know we went and watched the cremation just to see, make sure, just to make dua for him and that, because it's not in our control now. When the body went in, you know what happened when they hit the fire? It jumped up. And he went, oh my God, he's alive. I said, no, brother, you just killed him twice, like this to him, to make him feel bad. Because what happens, the heat, intense heat, the muscles and the nerves shrivel. So body jumps like this. This is punishment. So in Islam, a Muslim lives a purified life. You go to the toilet, you wash, you make ablution when you pray. So the dignity is to bring that body back into a state of purity and cleanness, and then put it back into the earth, because the earth is clean. If you ever go on my social media, you will read the comments of people. They'll say, I'm Catholic. They'll put their identity straight out, I'm not Muslim. But what you do is dignity. What you show is true humanity to the deceased. All this kind of talk, showcasing that we respect the dead. We give them dignity and we give them their rights. And many prominent producers and that have done small documentaries with me, and they've come to funerals and they've come back and said, man, this is the most dignified way of dealing with the deceased that I've ever seen. I remember that man, during that time, people ran to carry the coffin up the mosque. And I remember these people, they're not Muslim, the producers and that. They said, is that all his family? I said, no, they're strangers. Why are they carrying the coffin? I said, because in Islam, we are all brothers and sisters to one another. And he just went, man, this is beautiful.
We have attended many funerals. What is the thing that people regret the most?
People regret the most is not retying the kingships. So, for example, I had a guy once, he started to hit his head on the wall because he didn't talk to his brother for 10 years. 10 years because of a stupid he said, she said, whatever said. And now at the time of death, why can't I just call him? Why didn't I just let this go? Who cares now? It's too late now. A mother who gets taken to the coroner because nobody knows who she is, been dead for over a week in her house, her kids live in the same street, but guess what? They don't talk to their mother. At the time of her funeral, they're hitting the sand and the dirt. They couldn't cope with it. This is why, as humans, swallow this. Swallow your pride. Humble yourself. Because, wallah, it's not worth the regrets. Because as soon as you get to the grave, the regrets and everything stops. Yeah. So let it stop from now, before you take it to the grave. The real richness in this world is contentment. Sakinah, tranquility. Contentment is a treasure that never diminishes or perishes.
Mm-hmm. Can the dead see or hear us?
There's one narration by the Prophet ﷺ, at the time of death, that you will hear the footsteps leave. You will hear the footsteps, meaning that you are now alone in the grave. People have left you. That is the only time that it's ever narrated that. But what kind of hearing? Only Allah knows. The Prophet ﷺ also said, do not mutilate or break bones of the dead, because the dead can feel, because they can feel it just like the living. And Allah knows best at the end, but we always think positive of everything.
Yeah. What happens if a person dies without having performed ghusl?
If a person willfully or purposely doesn't want to do the ghusl, like for example, I don't know, he has relations with his wife and just keeps going back to work and he hasn't performed the ghusl. He's impure. He's in a state of impurity. Allah will deal with him in that way. But doesn't mean he's not a Muslim anymore. Of course he's still a Muslim. He still has to be washed and shrouded and purified. But that's a sin on him.
Has anything you experienced on your job ever affected you for a really long time?
This is 25 years ago. And we finished the funeral. I jumped on the machine. I continued to dig on the excavator. This man stood next to the excavator. He was tall because he was very high. I was high and he was high. And he had two smaller guys with him. And I remember he had a black leather jacket. And he said to me, is there another funeral? I said, no, just a spare grave. Because I would dig spare graves. And I remember his two friends said, Ali, let's go. And he went. Next day, I remember it rained. The day after that, they rang me, said, go and dig a grave, make it a bit bigger. So I said, man, we dig 2 meters. He ain't going to be bigger than 2 meters, whoever it is. They exaggerate. Funeral came. I was in the grave. They passed me. I jump in, white shroud. You don't know who it is, nothing. But I remember he was taller than the grave. So I had to bend the legs a little bit to make sure he fit. Come out, close everything, go. Next morning, I go early in the morning to dig. And I saw a lady at the grave, at that grave that I had just done the day before. So I turned the machine off and I used to ask questions. What did they say? What did they do before they died? Did they eat anything? I was very curious. He said to me, you wouldn't believe it. He was here just a few days ago. I said, for that funeral? She goes, yeah. I said, how did he die? She said, he went to sleep. In the morning, I nudged him, didn't wake up. 40 years old. I said, did he have a leather jacket on? She goes, that's his favorite jacket. He always wears a leather jacket. I said, did he have two guys with him? They're his best friends. Then I looked at the plate on the dirt, the name. It said Ali. And I knew it was him because he was tall and everything fit to him.
He looked at his own grave.
I didn't tell her, obviously, but yeah.
Have you ever washed and buried someone you loved? And what did it feel like?
My father, very recently too. When I remember signing the death certificate for my father, I remembered he signed my birth certificate. When I picked him up from the hospital to take him back to the morgue, I was driving and I looked in the van like this and he was behind, deceased. I said, I'm driving you, Dad. You taught me how to drive. And I remember when he used to teach me how to drive, move, what are you doing? Now I'm driving you. He used to wash me, now I'm washing him. And when I shrouded him, I remember when I was sick or in bed, he would come and put the blanket over me and check up on me. Now I'm putting the blanket around him. And subhanAllah, when I buried him, and it was the last time I got to see him and kiss him, I never ever exposed anyone or kissed anyone in the grave except my father. And I felt the cold body, skin. I said, Dad, you're not gone. It's just begun. We will be there with you soon, inshallah. It's the hardest thing you'll ever do is bury your parents. It's something that everybody is going to have to go through. Either you will bury your child or you will bury your parents. And that is when I see the reality hit on people.
Have you ever experienced anything mysterious in a cemetery?
We're working and they opened the grave a year later overseas, and normally the grave, there'd be nothing left, just a few bones. They moved the bones and they put another body because there's not much land. This grave, as soon as they opened it, they saw that the body was still intact, still as it was. So they closed it. 12 months later, they opened it again. I called and asked what happened because I had left the